Hi, my name is Elle Billing. I am a chronically ill queer femme, and I'm tired. I'm here this episode and every episode to dig at the roots of our collective fatigue, explore ways to direct our care in compassionate and sustainable ways, and harness creative expression to heal ourselves and our world. And welcome to Hoorf, radical care in a late capitalist hexscape. My guest for this episode is Nick Josten. Nick Josten is a writer, comedian, director, voice actor, and actor based in Reno, Nevada. Though he taught English and got his master's degree in library information studies, he quickly realized he would much rather make his living as a professional clown. You can see him strangle a Russian mobster and teach a baby how to break down a brick of cocaine in the indie action comedy Carpe Diem. The link to see that movie will be in the show notes. Welcome, Nick. Well, hi, Nick. Welcome to Hoorf.
Hi, I just took a big swig of water.
I know. It's like going to the dentist. It's like the worst possible time to say hello. At least my hands weren't in your mouth. That would have been weird. And also, how would I do that? The logistics.
Yeah, over video.
How you doing today? Pretty good?
Yeah, I'm a little tired. I'm
Yeah.
a little beat up. I spent the past week working with the Miss USA pageant here in Reno, and that was an experience.
I was going to say I can imagine, but I can't. I can't imagine what that would even be like. Were you doing tech or?
Yeah, I was a PA, so
Okay.
I was just kind of a gopher. Just kind of did whatever they need me to do. I was with the film crew that was getting B-roll for like the commercials and the bumpers and just kind of things that'll flash across the screen really quick.
Okay.
So I just I followed the camera crew around carrying equipment and helping them set up for 7 days. Yeah, just kind of went all over a hotel. They were doing the pageant at the Grand Sierra Resort here in Reno, kind of this gigantic hotel casino. And I think I walked 20 miles a day just going back and forth across this casino.
Wow, that's a lot.
We went up to Sand Harbor one day to take some videos up there. Honestly, like I never really got the chance to talk to any of the contestants or anything. It was mostly just haul gear, set up, record some stuff really quick, tear down the gear, get back in the van, and go to the next location.
When I think about it, when they televise those events, we see like the last night of the contest, and they do show a lot of B-roll of the contestants waiting in the hallway for like their interview or for other portions of the contest during the week.
Yeah.
And I guess I never really thought about who gets all that footage. That's you.
Yeah, there were a couple of camera crews, out there getting footage that they'll show for all of 5 seconds. The marquee, we had to get video of that with the Miss USA pageant signage up there, and the exterior of the hotel with the big sign up there, and just like all these things that you'll see for all of 1 or 2 seconds. We spent a few hours out there
trying to find the best
all
shot.
This stuff. We had to go back out and get the exterior shots again because we got them the first time in the middle of the day and the sun was too harsh and the shadows were too harsh and all this. So we went out at golden hour and sunset. And
okay, I saw that on your Instagram when you're like freaking sunset.
Yeah, this is something that I started doing a few years ago. That I'm a man who hates sunsets. I get angry at these ugly things that flash across the sky every night. Who do they think they are, these sunsets? And
man shakes fist at cloud.
Yeah, that's me every night. These silly sunsets. Usually I do PA gigs like maybe for like 1 or 2 days. This was my first one for an entire week. And it was a lot. The crew is still really fun though, and I learned a lot. I like doing these sorts of gigs because I get to see kind of a different setup, a different professional environment. Because I usually work with this really small independent production company here in Reno, and it's just kind of the same people over and over again. We have our our core group that we go with, and we have just kind of our own way of doing things. It's kind
Right.
of interesting to see how this big multi-million dollar production does things, and just kind of the madness that goes behind doing a live show.
Right.
Because yeah, everything I do is mostly narrative. So like we're able to plan stuff months in advance. We find our locations, we set up, and like everything's all pre-planned out, and everything's just kind of smooth sailing. And then with this, it was just kind of like, just being thrown into a war zone. It's just like things are popping off and changing constantly. You have no idea what's going to happen in the next couple of hours. And it's just not exactly what I'd want to do for the rest of my life, but it was kind of a good experience to have once.
Yeah, and then go, "Nope, I prefer this other thing that I've been
Yeah.
doing." Yeah, that sounds exhausting. So, how have you been able to, like, receive care or take care of yourself or even receive care from others, like, during a long, exhausting week? Or do you have plans this weekend to unwind from that?
No, you really don't get a chance to unwind. Yeah, I I signed up to work at a haunted house this year. And tonight's the opening night, so I got to run and do that at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
So I have that tonight and tomorrow night. I'm also in pre-production for a couple of different things. With this Madwife is the production company that I work with here in Reno.
Mhm.
We've been in pre-production for our next feature film for a while now, and that's starting in November. But we also got dropped in our lap this web series by a Chinese company who wants us to do like 80 1 to 2 minute web series things, kind of like a soap opera thing. It's kind of a weird concept, and I think it's mostly going to be on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all that. They're making us film vertically, and it feels so weird. Like everything
Yeah.
that we've been supposed to, you're not going to be showing the video, so no one would be able to see what I was just trying to
Yeah.
visually explain it anyway. Um, but yeah, usually we have a few months for pre-production, and now we had, I think, like 2.5 weeks to get all this stuff organized, and that
Wow.
starts on Sunday. So kind of while I was doing this PA gig, I was doing a lot of production stuff for this other web series. So I was just
Mhm.
kind of like, if I had some downtime, I was on my phone trying to find caterers and locations and all this other stuff. So kind of double dipping into the job world. So yeah, I don't really get a chance. October is just going to be absolutely busy, 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 busy. Um, which happens a lot in this. Like
It's feast or
my
famine.
yeah, like my summer was pretty lean, and I was starting to get worried about finding work. So I found this online tutoring job that's going to be like 15 hours a week. But
Mhm.
now I'm getting so much work again that I don't know if I'll have time to do the tutoring job. But I also don't want to just drop that because it can take a long time to find a day job again
Yep.
and go through all the training and everything. So I don't know if I want to drop that right now or just like be even busier for the next couple of months. So yeah, self care. It's kind of you have to focus on self care when you're on set because a lot of the times nobody else is.
Yeah, I was gonna say no one else is gonna take care of you.
You need to really self advocate for yourself. And I try to tell younger actors to do that as well. Like, you have to keep yourself in mind because it's not always malicious or anything. There's not like some producer creeping in the background trying to, like, how am I going to screw with this person's day? It's just they have so much on their plate and there's so much going on that they can't think of your needs specifically. So you
Mhm.
kind of have to be able to stand up and say, like, I need some time, or, like, I need a vegan meal, or I need whatever. Like this past week, like one thing my insoles on my shoes, like I somehow wore a hole in one specific spot. So I started developing a blister on my foot after the first day.
Oh,
So I had
geez.
to go out and buy some new sole inserts and everything. And I guess it was too late because just that blister's still there. It was just hanging on tight. And just like having to do late night trips to CVS to find things to take care of it and mitigate the symptoms, because that was pretty much my entire job is walking around. So
Well,
like,
yeah, and foot health is a big deal. Like,
yeah, like if your feet are screwed, then you're screwed. Like it's hard getting around if your feet are hurting.
I don't have arches. I have flat feet, and so, that has caused a considerable amount of pain for me over the years when I don't have proper shoes because it throws off the alignment of everything from my ankles all the way up to my hips and back,
Yeah.
and so custom orthotics are really expensive. And so I've sort of gone the cheaper route and done super feet insoles, and but they wear out, and then I don't always notice they're wearing out until I start to have a lot more pain in my legs.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like the whole taking care of my feet is a big deal. And I
Yeah. Lieutenant Dan was right. You gotta take care of your feet.
true story.
Um, I forgot what I was gonna say.
I'm sorry. I
Oh
shouldn't
no,
have
no, like
interrupted you.
no, like my mind is elsewhere already.
Yeah,
Um,
and I know on the weekends you make soup, right? Or
um, today, what's day? Today,
it's
oh, today's
Friday.
Friday.
You're
Okay.
okay. You didn't miss a game.
Oh yeah, last weekend I had to miss the Notre Dame. For every Notre Dame game I make curry udon.
So not soup, curry udon,
Yeah,
different.
it's soup like it's soup
Yeah,
esque. It's in the soup family.
it's in a bowl.
Yeah. But last week, yeah, I was on set with the Miss USA pageant, so I couldn't make it, and then Notre Dame lost.
Yep,
So
you
it's
didn't
a
lose
it's a
your
weighty burden to bear, but I'm willing. I think tomorrow I'll be home when Notre Dame's playing. When I made it, when I got home, my dad said, well, you could have just made it the day before. That way they wouldn't have lost. Like, you're right, Dad. I let him down, but it was the day before. I was still working on set, so like I probably wouldn't have had time anyway. But we were sitting by the pool at the GSR waiting for the contestants to come down for a pool shoot, and they had the Notre Dame game on, and like as soon as I sat down, they went to halftime, and then
of course.
then we're just one of those situations where we're just sitting around waiting for stuff to happen, and I got to see about 5 minutes of the third quarter, and then someone came around and turned all the TVs over to the Miss USA pageant logo, so that would be shown in the background when we were filming.
Yep.
So that was like, mm. The production manager was on my side though. She was also waiting for a college football game. She was kind of watching it on her phone, and we got to commiserate about that. Just kind of finding moments like that on set. A lot of times it's just hurry up and wait, and you
Mhm.
have to find moments to like kind of take care of yourself and take a moment to breathe. And for me, it's really important to have those moments because I'm pretty introverted. Like I'm an introvert who really likes people, and like I like entertaining people. I like making people laugh and everything, but my social battery wears out pretty quickly. Like
Mhm.
usually after an hour or so, like I kind of need some time to myself, but you can't really do that on a 12-hour shoot day. Like you're just kind of constantly around people.
Yeah.
Like I try to just find some time, usually during lunch, to just kind of like take some time away by myself. And it seemed a lot easier when I was the co-star in Carpe Diem because
Mhm.
like where we filmed it at the director's house, and she had couches on her back porch, and I absolutely loved that, like a back porch couch. And I'd eat my lunch really quick, then I'd go and take a nap on the back porch and like play with her dogs, and she had goats and everything too. It was so much.
Oh, amazing.
She had Nick the goat. So like every now and then I'd hear her yelling at Nick to shut up. Um, and I thought she was talking about me. No, 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 it's just goat. It's just the goat. And he would sneeze a lot too. He had allergies. It was adorable.
That's
Um,
great.
and now, yeah, Nick the goat died, unfortunately.
Oh.
Um, yeah, she was super broken up about it. The director. She had a lot of animals. Um, but yeah, just like, but when you're on the crew, it's a little harder to get away. Kind of, you need to stick with the crew and kind of be a little family and everything. But I did that during this last run. There were a few times where like they'd ask me to go out with them to lunch or whatever, and I'd kind of be a little standoffish, and it's kind of like screwed with my networking a little bit. Like you
Mhm.
kind of finding more people to hang out with and find more work from because that's kind of how you find work in the entertainment industry is just by word of mouth. It's really hard getting your foot in the door, but once your foot's in the door, it's just kind of show up and on time and be nice and do what you're and work hard. Then more
Mhm.
jobs come your way. I was kind of like I wanted to go with them and like hang out more, but I was just like I need a few moments to myself of just like sitting on a couch, nobody else around, shutting my eyes for a little bit and just being all by myself. And
Yeah. It's a tough balance.
I've gotten a lot better about just like, no, I just need a little time to myself. I just need a little space. And also I had to send out emails and call people for this other production gig. So just like,
Right.
I need a little time to do my other job while you guys are paying me to do this job.
So you mentioned, getting home and your dad saying that, Notre Dame lost because you didn't make your curry udon. You live with your dad, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you moved in with your parents during the pandemic, and I talk a lot about living with my parents. So, do you want to talk a little bit about all of that, like why you moved in with your parents and what that process was
Yeah.
for you?
So I moved in with my parents during the pandemic to help take care of my mom while she went through cancer treatment. She was diagnosed with, it was called cholangiocarcinoma, which is this very rare and aggressive cancer of the bile ducts in the liver that kind
Mm,
of connects it to another organ. I forget which one.
no, it's fine.
Um, yeah, she was scheduled for, she got diagnosed in July of 2020.
Hmm.
I still kind of remember it. I was helping out with the film festival, and I was, because of the COVID restrictions, we were doing it at a drive-in theater here in town, and I was kind of waving cars in. The sun was setting, and I get a text from my mom that she got the results back and that it was cancer and it looks serious. And that was like just after we finished wrapping that first summer of filming for Carpe Diem, when we thought it was going to be a web series. And then things happened quickly, and we got her in scheduled to see doctors, and she got this like miracle surgeon out of San Francisco who was super interested in her case. It was kind of lucky that it was a very rare cancer because there were top surgeons and doctors who were interested in studying it.
Hmm.
So she had this surgery in San Francisco where normally they have to flay you open like a frog in biology class to get it out.
Oof.
And he was able to do it laparoscopically. So, and he said he got it all, and it was like a miracle surgery. And it was like,
Hmm.
she dodged another bullet. My mom has kind of had health issues throughout her life. Um, she's died a couple of times, and I was kind of used to it in a way. Like
Hmm.
I'm just like, just it's another surgery. Like the whole family went to San Francisco to be there with her and bring her back to Reno so she could recover. Even though they got it all out, they were still going to plan on doing some chemo and everything. They thought one of my brothers, I have an older brother and a younger brother, thought it might be a good idea for one of us to move in with them.
Hmm.
My older brother was recently divorced, but he kind of went off the deep end. He had a weird midlife crisis, and kind of we can't really trust him anymore.
Hmm.
My little brother has his family and everything, so and at that point he wasn't living in Reno; he was still up in Washington. So it kind of seemed like the logical solution was for me to move in,
Hmm.
so I could help mom recover and take her to appointments and everything. Like things looked really optimistic and at the beginning, like with the miracle laparoscopic surgery and everything, and started in with chemo, and she was doing a relatively light dose of chemo, and that was starting to really wear down on her, and
Hmm.
yeah, like the symptoms were getting pretty bad. And then by the following summer, yeah, that's when we kind of saw that she wasn't going to get better. And yeah, it was during the second round of filming for Carpe Diem.
Hmm.
I still remember we were doing a bunch of night shoots, so like my call time was like I think like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I didn't get wrapped until like 1 in the morning. I get home around 1:30. Finally get into bed around 2 and start falling asleep, and then I think it was around 4 in the morning. Heard this loud crash as my mom had, passed out trying to get herself to the bathroom. And she refused to go to the hospital because she had doctor's appointments later that day, and she didn't want to miss the doctor's appointments.
Hmm.
So she just like absolutely refused to go to the hospital, and I got her back into bed and, got her all set up. And my little brother came later that day to take her to her doctor's appointments because I had call time again.
Hmm.
And my mom was a producer for children's theater for 20 years, so like, you don't miss your call times. You don't.
Yeah.
You don't miss rehearsals. She was adamant that I still go. So I went back to made my call time. We had another late night. Then I make it home again at 1 in the morning. Then fall asleep finally around 2. Then my dad comes in to get me around 3:30 or 4 to take my mom to the hospital because she finally tapped out. And when she taps out, like she used to be a nurse and she knows a lot about her body and everything. Take her to the hospital, and so I'm just kind of like 2 days sleep deprived and sitting in the hospital with my mom and trying to get a test run and everything. And a lot of the times they lately with the ER, it's just like it's going to be 8 hours before anybody's going to be able to see you. Like they took her vitals and they took her to the back right away. Like her blood pressure was like I don't know 80/20 or something. It was just like super low.
Mm-hmm.
And just sitting in the hospital with her, and I was sitting in there with her all morning, and I had another call time that I had to get to, and I was trying to get my older brother to come, and he wound up being over an hour late getting there. And it was just like when I was still sitting there, we got some tests back. I think a CT scan that it looks like the cancer had gotten bigger. Um, like it started regrowing, and they thought it was metastasizing because there were a couple other spots that were showing up elsewhere in her body. But they, of course, it's just the ER. He's not an oncologist. He's good at saving people, but he's, not an expert in anything. So he wants us to go see the actual oncologist. And that's where I left it. My older brother finally showed up so I could go make my call time. And it was sinking in that, oh my God, my mom's going to die. Like she's not getting better. And
Mm-hmm.
there was a wildfire that broke out. And it happened to be like down the street from where we were filming. So like traffic was all backed up the entire way there, and it just took me forever to get there. And like I finally got to where the filming location at this house, and I just kind of like I parked my car and just like the floodgates opened and just like bawled my eyes out. It was like the most I've cried ever in my life. It's just like, holy shit, my mom is going to die. And the sound guy came out to get something out of his car, and he saw me. And then soon the two directors are coming back out, and this is their first feature that they're filming, and it's the last day. The next day, the co-star has to go fly back to LA. So like, this is our last shot to film anything, and their co-star is in his car just having a breakdown. And they come out and just talk to me for a little bit, and I explain everything that's going on, and they're like, "Fuck, that is a lot." And they just kind of, they offered to wrap me that day. I can go back to the hospital. They'll figure something out. And I'm just like, no, no. It's like, what else am I gonna do? Like, I can't. I'll just be sitting at the hospital. Like, I want to do something. I want to be active. Um, so yeah, they just give me like 15 minutes in my car to get myself together. Then as soon as I get into the set and the filming location, they have me improvise a scene with a wildfire, because they thought they could cut it so it looked like at the end of the movie, my truck Bessie blows up. So like, maybe the Bessie blowed up is what causes wildfire. Like, do a
Mm-hmm.
scene about that. So like, just like my world's crumbling around me, and I'm just like doing this little fun improv scene about my truck blowing up. And then immediately after that, I had to do a scene with with the director's baby about breaking down a brick of cocaine and like teaching the baby how to how to pack up these little packets of cocaine. And there's like 5 minutes of me just talking to a baby and just like trying to keep it together, but like I have to like be entertaining and fun. And it was just like it was such a weird moment for me. Like I had to still keep it all turned on while just all this madness was happening in my personal life. And that was such a weird situation. And I felt weird being there, but I knew that my mom wanted me to be there. Like
Mm-hmm.
she was so focused on me still getting the job done and still
Mm-hmm.
being an actor and everything. And yeah, that was just kind of the moment that I knew she was going to die, and the next few months it was just really hard.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, yeah, I was really grateful that the director kind of sat down and he made sure that there was a cut ready to go that I could show my mom. So she got to see my first film before she died. That was really important. And yeah, taking care of my mom those last few months was just it was so hard, you know, knowing that like there's nothing I could do.
Mhm.
Like all I could do was make her comfortable. And like I want to do something to save her, but there's nothing you can do. And that type of care, I think, is especially hard. That palliative at the end of life care, just making sure they're as comfortable as possible, and the end of their days are how they want to spend. Um, my mom really didn't want to be in hospice, like at an actual facility. She wanted to die at home,
Mhm.
and just making sure she got the death that she wanted. And um, yeah, like I'm really glad that I was there to help, but it definitely took a lot out of me. And it, it seems like I'm about to do it again. Um, Last week, I had to take my dad to the hospital,
Oh god.
and it looks like he has pancreatic cancer.
I'm so sorry. You know,
But
sorry.
no,
Um
no, it's
I
just
moved in with my parents after my mom spent 2.5 days in the hospital. She had a UTI that became septic. So she has kidney disease, but also a form of dementia. And so
mm,
she now, 2.5, 3 years later, doesn't remember that she was that sick.
oh,
So every once in a while, she's like, "Well, I wasn't that sick." And dad and I are like,
phew,
uh,
phew.
yeah, you were on IV antibiotics for 2.5 days. Like
Yeah,
it was really bad. And so I'm always super focused on keeping her safe and making sure she eats, stays hydrated, takes her meds, doesn't cut or burn herself on her craft projects.
yeah,
But then, like, it was just my dad's birthday, and my mom asked him if he was gonna grow his beard out again,
mm,
and he's like, "I don't know, it's so white, it makes me look so old." And she's like, "Oh, I think it's so handsome."
mm,
And he asked me if I thought it made him look old, and I don't really, but I did tell him that, last year when he picked me up at the airport after I'd visited my partner, I couldn't find him in, like, the sea of people. I
yeah,
was looking for a young guy, and then I saw him. It was old guy with a white beard and a grandpa cap, and that was, like, the first time it hit me that I'm not just really here for my mom, I'm here for both my parents.
yeah,
And, like, my my dad's old too. And that but that was the first time, like, my dad's mortality had sort of faced that I had to face that because 'cause I've been so focused on mom that,
yeah,
like, well, my parents are the same age.
yeah.
And my dad said, "So I looked like an old guy?" I said, "Well,
You are an old guy.
yeah." I mean, he does look handsome with the beard, but it is all white.
Yeah,
And I hadn't I mean, after I was only gone for 10 days, but, like, I hadn't seen him for 10 days, and so I've it's not that I forgot what my dad looked like, it just hit me that, like,
yeah.
oh, most people his age are retired, and he's farming full time still,
Jesus.
right?
Yeah,
No wonder he's so tired, like,
yeah.
duh. It's like, "Oh gosh." And I'm not saying that's the same thing that what you're going through with your dad at
No, yeah. It
all.
just
But it just facing our parents' mortality is
yeah, it just kind of hits you in the face one day.
yeah, no one told us about this part of being adults. Like,
Yeah,
it
like having to
sucks.
start taking care of your parents as well. Like after my mom died, my dad asked me if I would stick around, and like he's the oldest of 8 kids,
Hmm.
and like he's always just had people around him, and like I can't just abandon him and like, oh, good
Hmm.
luck. I helped with mom. See you later.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I'm glad that I'm still around to be able to help take care of him as well. And it's just I thought he would have more time. This is now just 2 years come November since mom died. And my dad, after he retired, he's been so good about like eating healthier and like going out for walks and taking care of himself and everything. And then all of a sudden it's just, you know, just devastation.
Yeah.
Um, but it is I am so glad that I'm able to be here to help out. Especially because like for most of my 20s I was abroad. Like after Augie, I moved to Japan for 5 years, and I was up in Vancouver for 3 years, and
Hmm.
I missed a lot of what happened with my family, and now I'm actually here to be more a part of it. And like my little brother and his wife and their 2 kids we're also living in the same house. And the plan was that I was thinking about moving down to LA in August because over the pandemic I hooked up with this acting group out of LA that does this Meisner acting technique that I really liked. And they're going to start doing live classes again in August, so that was kind of my exit date. And then
Hmm.
the WGA and the SAG strikes and all that happened, so I thought it probably wasn't the best idea. And then the place that I was living with my dad, that condo owner died, so that family was selling that place, so we had to get out by the end of January. And my little
Hmm.
brother and his family were already planning on having dad come live with them, so they were already looking for a place that had a room for him. And they just happened to find a place that had an extra room for me, so I thought I'd live with them until I moved out here down to LA, and then it just kind of happened that we're all living in this like little Josten compound. It's been fun, like seeing my niece and nephew every day as well, and just kind of like getting to be the fun uncle with them. The next few months are definitely going to be challenging, especially because I know what it's like now to lose
Yeah.
one parent, and just getting ready for the next few months. And pancreatic cancer is one of those things that it's also very aggressive and acts quickly. And just kind of knowing that my dad's probably not going to be here next year, and I just like what I'm hoping for is that he gets a good last Christmas with the grandkids and can
Yeah.
kind of like can experience that. But yeah, taking care of a family member and just kind of watching them slowly slip away is just like it's still devastating. Like I didn't expect that to
Yeah.
like break down in tears again. That just kind of like when I woke up this morning, like that's I'm feeling fine and happy. Like I'm a little tired, but otherwise I'm feeling okay. Then just like just leaps at you. It just kind of
Yeah. It does
it's
that.
also kind of like the Meisner technique is supposed to like make you more open to your emotions and like get you out of your head, and so you can like more easily tap into all those emotions. So like after going through that, it does kind of feel like all my emotions are just like under the surface level, and it takes like it's a hair trigger to like get this stuff out there. And it's nice being more in touch with your emotions and everything rather than just like having that shield up.
For me, it was quitting my job and moving out here because all that stress from being so close to burnout all the time
Mhm.
and just waking up every day with a sense of dread.
Yeah.
Getting out of that environment after fully burning out and being very ill and getting here and starting to recover from burnout, like I have space for my emotions too. So like there was one time I was also going off my antidepressants at the time so we could switch them. I hit a squirrel and burst out into tears.
Oh.
Because I was like, "Oh, I didn't mean to do that." But 2 years ago in the fall when we were titrating down my meds, I'd been here for several months and I was driving back from town and I looked over at the farmstead that used to be my grandparents and my cousin lives there now, and the leaves were so beautiful. Like, I had to pull my car over so I could cry.
Mm.
Like, it's just yeah, everything's a lot without whatever our shield or our whatever it was that was holding it back. Mine was stress and dread.
Yeah.
All my and I've always had big feelings anyway, but they're much closer to the surface now too.
Yeah. It's also nice not being afraid to to experience them. It's kind of like, I don't know, like so much of modern society, it seems like, you need to keep everything tamped down and just, be pleasant and yeah, don't make things awkward for other people or anything. And I don't know. I just always felt like I couldn't really express how I was feeling, and just kind of having that openness anymore, just well, it's more freeing, and it feels like I'm experiencing more of the world rather than just kind of like, am I making anybody else uncomfortable by being a little sad right now? Screw them. Like I'm gonna be a little however I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to like impose my
Nope.
feelings on other people and like ruin their day or anything. Like I'm just experiencing what I'm experiencing right now, and that's fine.
Yeah. You did mention when we were emailing that after your mom passed, all those feelings that are now, much closer to the surface, you processed that through a couple writing projects. Did you want to touch on those quick?
Yeah. So I wrote one. It's based a lot on what actually happened while I was taking care of my mom. I kind of took away a lot of the characters, and it was just my mom and me and her dog Blue.
Mm-hmm.
She actually has a diabetic service alert dog, so a little dachshund, and his name's Blue. And kind of in the middle of taking care of my mom, he woke up one morning and he couldn't use his back legs. He became paralyzed. And we took him to the vet, and the vet's just kind of like, yeah, this happens with dachshunds sometimes. They just kind of lose the ability to walk. And he ran some tests, and he thought that it was very unlikely that he would gain the ability to use his legs again. Like he did like a little pressure test, and he didn't respond, and all this stuff. It's like, I can give you some steroids and some meds, and you can hope for the best, but probably it's better to just put him down. My mom absolutely would not have that. Like, if he's not going to learn how to walk, we're going to get him a wheelchair, and he's going to drag his little doggy legs around. And then we just took the medicine and took Blue home, and after a few days, he started getting up again, and he started like stiff legged walking around, and he got all better. And I kind of took that as a sign that the same thing was going to happen to mom. Like she's going through
Mm-hmm.
her struggles with chemotherapy, but she's going to come out the other side unscathed. And so that's what I kind of did with this short screenplay called Blue. Um, and it's just kind of like the day to day life of helping to take care of somebody if they're going through cancer. It's kind of more about the caretaker than um, the actual cancer survivor. So I kind of wanted to write it as an homage to all the caretakers out there and what
Mm-hmm.
it's like, kind of the stress and the fatigue and the worry and everything like that that goes into caretaking. There's one scene in it, like in real life, that it happened to me where when Blue became paralyzed, like that's what broke me. Up until that point, I was keeping everything together. I was like, just being, happy-go-lucky nursemaid and everything. Like I was just making sure mom was feeling good, and then just when Blue became paralyzed, just like something snapped, and I was just like in the shower, and I just started bawling my eyes out, and it's like, what else can go wrong? It's like I felt like Job, like just
Yeah.
it was God's just taking more and more things away. Like, how did I piss him off? What did I do wrong? Yeah, that moment kind of happens in the screenplay as well, and it's just about like, you know, like one of the things that I did to take care of mom was she didn't really have much of an appetite. So if she mentioned something that she wanted to eat, you're like, oh, I just take a little mac and cheese. Like then you're getting the world's best mac and cheese ever. And I'd make like this 5 cheese mac and cheese from scratch and everything. And every night, my mom, my dad, and I would gather for dinner around her bed, and we'd watch baking competitions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we watched every single baking competition out there. Like she really liked the holiday themed ones.
Mm-hmm.
We started watching guys grocery games towards the end, and that wasn't quite as good. We were just running out of baking competitions. So that's in the screenplay of just like the son just doing his best to make a happy little life, and so it's just kind of like when he's in the room with his mom, he's just like happy and smiling and just joking around. But when he's on his own, it's just you see this dread and this stress that he's going through. And it's also like really funny and heartfelt. But it's kind of in this weird space where it's around 20 pages, and it was kind of hard to sell a short screenplay like that. Like a lot of festivals want shorts to be around 5 to 10 minutes for programming purposes. So it's just in this weird zone. It still won a finalist for the Cordillera screenplay competition. I'm looking at getting it produced with this production company that I'm working with, but it's still kind of like I need to go back in and rewrite it and rework it a little bit. And it's just kind of I don't know if I want to jump into that topic again right now.
It's understandable.
Some people recommend trying to make it like a mini series or something. Those are pretty popular right now, and just a 20-minute script would be about what a half hour episode would run. Maybe try selling it that way. I've been working on a novel. It's called Lawn Chairs for the Apocalypse, and it's about a down and out millennial who's shopping for an economical and eco-friendly way to kill himself. And that's when the de facto leader of an apocalypse cult intervenes and finds him in the supermarket bathroom, like making a little suicide mix, and convinces him to try to give life 2 more weeks. And they go on this epic road trip. And a lot of that deals with, my depression that I've been going through since high school. I think that was kind of my big wall, was that I didn't want to acknowledge my depression. I didn't want anybody else to acknowledge it either. And I'm just kind of, after I finally started seeing a therapist and dealing with it and writing about it, it's become a lot easier to manage because I'm not trying to pretend that it's not there. So yeah, the main character, his name is Dick Aiken. He he's just this horribly depressed person because he started off life wanting to be a teacher and marry his college sweetheart and just like have this nice happy life. But once he actually got out into the world, he realized that just all the rules changed from what life was like for his dad and his grandpa, that working hard doesn't get you a nice life anymore. And he just kept falling deeper and deeper into depression as he realized that the American dream isn't attainable anymore. And he's just working these multiple crappy jobs. Like he's a customer service representative at the Chilean Outdoor Clothing Collective, which one of my beta readers, it took her halfway through the book to realize that spelled cock.
Yeah, I was just running it in my head. Yeah.
One of her notes that she left was like, "Oh my god, I just got this joke." Like, yeah, there's a lot of those in the book that just kind of takes a little while to see. And he's not making enough money working full time for this $1 billion company. He's having to do side gigs, and it's just it's a running joke throughout the entire book that everybody has multiple jobs. Like they're just, even the rich people, they have, there's like a furniture store slash cafe and a jewelry store slash tackle store. So he's depressed. He's not just depressed, he's despairing because he's lost all hope that there's ever going to be a good life for him. So why is he just sitting here struggling every single day just to make some other people a little bit more money? And it just seems like there's so many people in the world right now that are like that. They're waking up and realizing, like, what is the point behind all this? Like, the environment is crumbling around us. Just there's no hope for a future for anybody. So why keep trying? And just the whole book is about trying to find a reason to live and kind of overcoming depression, or dealing with it, at least like acknowledging it and facing it head on rather than just getting drunk, which yeah, that was also the thing. Like, I'm 300 and some days sober now. I have a little app that keeps track, but I keep forgetting to check it. And like, that's what I did with a lot of my problems. Is I just, if I started feeling shitty, I start drinking because momentarily that's all that mattered. Like, I felt good in that moment being drunk, that then just problems would keep piling up later, but then there's always more booze. Um, and yeah, the character having to overcome and face why he's been drinking the way he has. And he has to kind of readjust his attitude and the way he's looking at the world and focus more on other people. And that's kind of like the big goal at the end is that I do a play on the hell is other people. It's just, hell is in other people. Opportunity and recovery is other people. Like you need other people to survive. And the whole point of this apocalypse cult is they're not going to see the scare quotes that I did.
I heard the quote
Yeah.
fingers though. I do them a lot, and then I always say I'm doing quote fingers right now.
Yeah.
Apocalypse cult. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the Apocalypse Cult is just about building community and community aid. They have these gatherings every night where people are able to get up and kind of tell something that's, a joyous thing that happened to them or something that they're struggling with. And then the people around there offer support. Like they'll take up a collection if you need a little help with rent, or like some lady talked about how, she's lonely because her daughter moved away to college. So people offer up, volunteer opportunities, or they'll take you out for coffee sometime and that. So it's just the community coming together to support each other. And that's what I think we need more of in today's world. Communities seem to have disbanded, and we've become even more selfish.
We're super isolated. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good word for it. Like we've all become so isolated and so insular and focused on our own microcosmal world that we don't think about how we affect everybody else and how everybody else affects us. And we need to kind of start looking more at the larger world around us. And that's how I think we'll get out of this hellscape that we're in. Like
Yeah.
we need other people to pull us out of hell.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Well, I would love to read that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Hopefully someday it actually comes out.
Well, yeah.
I sent it out to a few agents and I've gotten some bites and they've asked for full manuscripts. It's just, it takes so long for anything to happen.
It does. It does.
Like, yeah, we'll get back to you in 4 to 6 weeks. Like, why not now? Like, just sit down and read it.
Trust me, you'll read it in one sitting. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I'll sit in the corner with a coffee and you read it. And when you're done, we'll discuss.
Well, I think that sentiment, it takes other people to pull us out of hell. That's a great note to end on. Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me. It was an emotional journey.
It certainly was. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Hoorf. To view the complete show notes and all the links mentioned in today's episode, or to get a full transcript of the episode, visit hoorfpodcast.com. That's HOORF podcast.com. Before you go, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you can receive new episodes right when they're released. And if you're enjoying our podcast, I'd love to have you leave us a review in Apple Podcasts. Reviews are one of the major ways that Apple ranks their podcasts, so even though it only takes you a few seconds, it really does make a difference for us. Become a patron. For $3 a month, you can support the creation of this podcast, pay my editor, and join a community of fellow caregivers out here just doing our best. Thank you again for joining me, Elle Billing, in this episode of Hoorf. Until next time, be excellent to each other. Hoorf is hosted by Elle Billing at Elle and Wink. Audio editing by Ricky Cummings at Ricky Poo. Music composed by Ricky Cummings. Hoorf is a production of Elle and Wink Art Studio, all rights reserved. Hoorf Podcast can be found on social media channels at Hoorf Podcast, at HOORF Podcast.
So like every now and then I'd hear her yelling at Nick to shut up. And I thought she was talking about me. No, it's just goat. It's just the goat.